Hey guys, welcome back to this traveling series that I'm doing. If you're new here, then hi, I'm Nikki, and I make videos on how I solo backpacked for the last 4 months of my life. I hope that these videos help influence and inspire others to as well try solo backpacking because it has absolutely changed my life. So now let's get started. Have you always wanted to travel to the Philippines? Yeah, me too. Here are some things I wish I knew before I traveled there. I wish that I had watched a video about the Philippines before I went because there is so much to know and so much to see and so much to do. I spent 2 weeks there and I had the best time of my life, but there's definitely some things I would have done differently. So if you're going to the Philippines, you're gonna wanna watch this video. Let's get started. So when flying to the Philippines, you're going to want to fly into Manila, which is the capital of the Philippines. I personally didn't stay in Manila, and I know some people that did stay, and they say they would not recommend. I don't think it's as much of a beachy Philippines vibe that you're looking for. An island in the Philippines that I really do recommend is the island of El Nido. I got so blessed with El Nido, with the island. It's so beautiful itself. I met some of the coolest people in El Nido, and from there we traveled to a couple other islands after. Siargao is another one I really do recommend. It's the surfer island of the Philippines. If you're into surfing, I really recommend going there. Something to know if you don't already know about the Philippines is that it's a bunch of islands. So basically, you should be prepared to be very spontaneous when you travel there. If you are backpacking, I really recommend going to the Philippines because of how cheap it is. I think it's one of the greatest places to backpack, along with meeting some of the coolest people and island hopping. It's so fun. If you're backpacking and staying at hostels, then it is the perfect place ever because you will meet people at your hostel everywhere you go, and then you're gonna eventually, most likely, be island hopping with them. If you're also trying to be on a budget, I definitely recommend eating local. Local food is definitely the cheapest anywhere you go, and also, why wouldn't you want to try the local food? But speaking of being on a budget, the massages were like $7. I really recommend. They do massages everywhere on the beach, and they're absolutely phenomenal. So you can be balling on a budget, but also treat yourself a little and have a nice little luxurious vacation. The main source of transportation that I recommend is using tuk-tuks, which are basically little moped taxis. They can range anywhere from like $3 to like $20, depends how far you want to go. You can probably bargain the price down a little bit as well. Or I recommend just renting out a moped if you're comfortable. Please do not drive a moped if you're not comfortable. I have seen way too many accidents with my eyes. Just don't do it. It's better safe than sorry. You can also get a bus to and from the airport, usually from wherever you're staying at, which is the cheapest way to get to the airport. One thing I strongly encourage checking before traveling is check for the rainy and dry season. So I went to the Philippines in April, and it was one of the driest seasons they've actually ever had. There's also not many places that have AC. If they have AC, it's a little AC box in your room and you just pray it works. Most places I stayed at just had a fan. It is just so scorching hot there that you want to get refreshed, so you will be in the ocean all day every day in a bikini. So be prepared to get your tan on. Speaking of ocean and water, be prepared because the water in the Philippines is not clean. I'm talking that you shouldn't even be brushing your teeth with it. You'll most likely have to be buying water bottles to brush your teeth with the water, to drink, everything. Use a water bottle, please. Rather spend those few dollars on water rather than getting sick and just feeling absolutely horrible, because I promise you, that is probably the last place you want to get sick. One thing I really recommend doing if you're in the Philippines is doing the 3-day boat trip from El Nido to Coron or Coron to El Nido. Many companies in the Philippines do this tour, and it is absolutely amazing. If you have a group, I definitely recommend doing it in a group, or if you're solo, you can totally do it as well. Basically, just a bunch of strangers mixed on a boat for 3 days. You sleep on islands, you see about 12 different islands, you get to eat on the boat and on the islands, try a bunch of local food, you go snorkeling, see a shipwreck, seeing lots of reefs. Something to keep in mind on this boat trip that might be common sense is you will not have cellular data. You'll probably have no service. One of the things I was most looking forward to in the Philippines was swimming with whale sharks. There's a couple spots in the Philippines that do this. I personally did it at Cebu, which is an island over there. This is like the biggest tourist trap, I think. It's also one of the most unethical things I've ever seen in my life. Technically, the whales weren't trapped there because it is open water, you know, they can swim wherever they want to go, but they are there because they are being fed, so they're kind of being brought there every day. They come because they know they'll have food there. And that's how they basically lure them in, so that they can bring people out and you can go swimming with them. There's hundreds of people, hundreds of boats. I mean, you get to see the whale sharks. It's a cool experience and everything. But I definitely think there's more ethical ways to do it. And I'm pretty sure there are other places in the Philippines that do that. You'd have to do some research on that. If you go to Cebu and do this, definitely be prepared to swim with thousands of people, a bunch of food and poop swimming around everywhere. I really wish there was more ethical ways to do it, and I'm sure there are other places that you can find. If you do, please let me know in the comments because I'd love to go back and do that. But that was definitely one of the coolest experiences of my life, is being so up close to these whale sharks. They are the most beautiful creatures I've ever seen in my life. That was definitely one of my highlights of the trip. There's also many pretty waterfalls in Cebu as well. Like I said, make sure you check when it is dry and wet season, because I went during dry season and some of them were actually closed due to there being no water. There's definitely a bunch of islands for your liking, and I promise you, you will find one that you really fall in love with. I personally am more of a surfy beach, really island vibes girl, so I love Siargao. I also loved El Nido. Those are just the two that I really recommend. There's also a bunch of cute towns in the islands for going out and just having fun with friends. And there's also some really nice resorts. I stayed at hostels, but I saw a bunch of really nice resorts as well, so I'm sure you can do your research and find that. And they're all super affordable. Now moving on to something very important, and that is safety in the Philippines. If you're solo backpacking, especially if you're a girl solo backpacking, you always have to be careful. Definitely do your research. I personally didn't feel unsafe anywhere in the Philippines. If you're smart about things, you'll be fine. Filipino people are very sweet, and I have a very big spot in my heart for them, especially the kids. The kids are all so adorable and cute. Definitely insert a map over here to show you guys kind of where to not go, the red areas. Probably stay away from those. Moving on, I want to share a little bit about where to stay in the Philippines. It is super cheap, so you can definitely find some really nice villas and resorts to stay in. But if you're solo backpacking or backpacking and want to stay in hostels, that's a perfect way to travel in the Philippines. Super duper affordable and super spontaneous and fun. There are some things that you should know about hostels, so check out my next video I'll be making. In that video, I'll be explaining a lot of tips and tricks of what to do, what not to do when staying at hostels, so make sure you check that out and leave a comment down below if you have any questions. I hope this helped a little bit. If you guys have any more questions, please comment down below and we'll be in touch. Thanks for watching. Ciao!